Peace, everybody. Peace, everyone.
Peace.
I'm Elder Jeffrey from the St. Louis branch of the Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries. Welcome to Friday night. I'm here with my crew. Can I say that? My crew. What's up, Ezra? We got Ezra, E2K in the house. What's up?
Yeah.
Lily. We got Shelby here. Hey, Shelby.
Hey.
All right, Mr. Anthony.
Peace.
Dapper, exactly. Clean cut. Look at that. And Felicia, Miss Felicia, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. Peace.
Good. Peace. So how are you guys doing during this time of darkness where it gets dark at like 3:00 in the afternoon, and that seems to does that affect your mood and your energy?
Yes, I don't like it.
You don't like it, yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of under the weather, so I definitely hate this time of year because you got to remember to bundle up.
Yeah. Well, take care of yourself and just be careful out there for sure. Thanks, Minister Anthony, for still, being committed, even though I know you're not feeling 100% that you're here, and we're going to make this happen. Hopefully, you feel better as we get into the topic as well.
Oh yeah,
Right.
So peace, everybody. I see, wow, we got a full house here already. We just jumped in. Everybody's already here. Peace, Elder Tony, Elder Donna. Peace. Let's see who else we got. Calhoun, Elder Robin, C. Fields. Everybody. Yeah. Peace, everyone. Thank you guys for joining us. It's our pleasure to be here and to participate in this Friday night. Talk a little bit about open the Word of God and talk a little bit about some of the things that we've been talking about here in St. Louis. And so right now, please just keep doing that. Like, share, let people know, especially family members or somebody you're trying to teach, or let them tune in so that they can take advantage and be edified by some of the things that we're going to be talking about today. So peace, everyone. Also, make sure to have your Bibles with you. All right, we're going to the Bibles today. So we want to make sure you guys have your tool with you that you need to be successful as we read through some of these scriptures that we're going to talk on today. But, I'm just really happy that we're able to be here. So shout out to all y'all for taking time so that we could, again, open the word of our God, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, and hopefully, edify all of us in our journeys. Mm-hmm. All right. You guys ready now to get started? So what's our topic today? What are we talking about today?
Freedom.
Is freedom.
Israelite. An Israelite.
What is freedom to an Israelite? What is freedom? Wow. Okay, that's those small words end up being big topics,
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, right. Like love and faith and all those things, but there's a lot there, a lot there. All right, good. So, we're talking about it. Let's see the definition. How would you define freedom? Let me ask the audience, because again, we want you guys to chime in. We want this to be a dynamic conversation. How would, please, in the chat, and I'm gonna pull up the Merriam-Webster definition and see if that helps us at all. But people that are there in the chat, give me a little definition, top of your head, freedom.
I think they're trying to wrap their mind around it.
All right, so let me ask you guys. Just you walk down the street, or you talk to your brother, or you talk to your mom, or you talk to a friend. Freedom is obedience to the God of Israel. Okay, and I don't think you can get that answer from someone walking down the street.
If you do, you might know them.
Serving the God of Israel is freedom.
We have some knowledgeable people in the comments.
Yeah, we got. Hey, that's it. This is the advanced class. This is the gifted class. Knowledge of self is freedom. Interesting. Knowledge of self is freedom.
That's a good one.
Truth is freedom.
Yeah.
Walk down the street though. What would someone tell you? You asked that question. What would someone tell you, Felicia? One of your friends.
Being able to do what I want to do, go where I want to go.
Okay. Do what I want to do, go where I want to go. All right. Shelby, what do you think?
It could be have things you want to have, just no rules. Like you no rules. I'm doing what I want.
Yeah. Sean Quest says being able to move about and exercise one's choices without being penalized for it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Rules. No rules.
Well, I mean, because we live. I mean, most of us. I know we're international. We have people from all over the globe, but in America, that's one of the things it prides itself for. One of the promotions of it. George says freedom is finally knowing our origins and our true living God. Yeah, amen. But in America, they speak of the word freedom, and this is the land of the free, right? Home of the brave, right? That's what's reported. That's what you guys learn in school, right? Yeah. So you got all you guys would fail the test. All you guys would fail the test. If you put these answers on that paper, being able to move about with hindrances, probably without hindrances. Yeah. No, thank you for that. The standard is the ability to do what you wish with no boundaries. Freedom. Okay, gotcha. Mm-hmm. Let's hear from the young one, Ezra. What you speak to your friends. Maybe you guys, in college, you guys, go through all this debates and stuff. Freedom. What would people say freedom is in your?
I think similar to what the American standard of freedom is. I think everyone wants to feel the ability to do what they want because people like to satisfy whatever their desire is. They want to be able to satisfy it. So I feel like that is kind of where, and that is what America kind of allows you to do. It's like this open reign and like do whatever you want. And there's so I think people aren't really accustomed to the idea that then besides, laws of the land, one that would almost incline or maybe hurt someone else's ability to be free, I guess. But besides the laws of the land, it's exercise this ability that you can do whatever you want, pursue whatever you want, and go wherever you want. Do so. I think it's just that that ability to do and exercise your right and fulfill your own desires. I think the common way that freedom is seen.
Okay.
And it's funny. It's funny because we say that is what America is built off of, right? But we also know America is literally built off our backs, which is the complete opposite of freedom. But yeah.
That should give you a clue about, if the individuals who are not living up to the standard, can they really teach you the standard? Right? Good. But we're going to explore all of that tonight. God willing, through time, we're going to go through it and see, not just now, but even back, throughout our history of our forefathers. What did freedom mean to our forefathers? And in the time that they live. And what one of the things that as we were exploring this topic, it kind of went everywhere, and it was hard to pinpoint, because a lot of different ways you could analyze it. But one of the things that we did come to was, when we talk about freedom, it sort of depends on the environment that you're in. Your freedom is in direct response to the potential oppression that you're in. So, but we're looking at. We'll get to that. But let's get started. I think I think we're going to explore some ways, different time frames and things. So I think we're going to start with Exodus and Moses. And so I don't know, Mr. Anthony, where would you like to start on that?
I say let's go to Exodus 3.
Exodus chapter 3. All right, everybody, get your Bibles out. Exodus chapter 3.
And I want to, as always, like we say, if you have time, go back and read over it for more clarity. But I want to jump down to verse 7.
Exodus chapter 3 and verse 7. All right.
And the Lord said, I have surely seen the affliction of my people which are in Egypt, and have heard their cry by reason of their taskmasters, for I know their sorrows. And I will come down to deliver them out of the hand of the Egyptians, and to bring them up out of that land into a good land, and a large, unto a land flowing with milk and honey, unto the place of the Canaanites, and the Hittites, and the Amorites, and the Perizzites, and the Hivites, and the Jebusites. I just want to read those two.
You can read the next one too. I think that part of it too.
Oh yeah. Now therefore, behold, the cry of the children of Israel has come unto me, and I've also seen the oppression wherewith the Egyptians oppressed them.
Hmm. Right. So the foundational story of our nation, right? And so we kind of know we started as a nation, other than the family of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, as a nation, as we come out of an enslaved environment. So if you ask that same question to our forefathers at that point in our history, what would their answer be?
I think it's interesting. Even going back to before when you asked about what is freedom, and the concept of I think most Americans believe that they're already free.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if they own a gun, they definitely they'll say that they're free.
Right.
And
Right.
I think that in a
Well, hey,
concept,
don't forget, it's a mixed crowd. So there are some people that live in other countries or other states that have no
that's true.
concept about gun ownership.
Oh yes,
I'm a convert, right? I come from a state that didn't have guns. I didn't understand it. Now I live in one. I'm like, okay, I kind of get it. Yeah. But yes, I hear you. I know we got a mixed crowd. I'm sorry. Finish your thought.
But I think in the terms of the this situation, I think it's interesting because in our minds we were already in a good land and the land of Goshen. It's just that they're forcing us to do this hard work. I just want to be free of this hard work. If you ask, I believe if you ask any of them, then hey, I just don't want to. I don't want to work like this. I want to go back to how it used to be.
Yeah, no, I mean, we can go on a whole. That's a whole other lesson. We did in St. Louis. We've done a whole series on enslavement and oppressions and the different forms it takes.
Yeah.
And in this one, again, it wasn't just the hard work. I mean, we can go back to chapter 2 where it was like kill all the firstborn, all the sons.
Yeah,
there was total control over every aspect of your life, and very similar to our enslavement here during these 400 years. When we were here, before when we first got here, 1619 and on to 1865, it was total control of not just your work, but also your life, everything, every aspect of it. Worked to death. Who you can marry, all those. I mean, so in that environment, again, it's like, well, I asked the question, what's freedom? What I want to be free. What answer would there be?
Even, go ahead.
No, I wasn't gonna. I was just thinking out loud. Part of me is just like, hey, just kill the Egyptians.
Yeah, right. Right. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Ezra, what are your thoughts?
And during that time,
yeah,
I think it's when you're being oppressed. Sometimes it's hard for you to look at. Sometimes you don't always look at yourself. Like I think similar to what mentioned Anthony said. Like a lot of times you corner in whatever is you feel is holding you back. And so I feel like the group mindset was most likely like just get them to stop. Just if they can just stop, everything will be okay. But I think we know that we've seen Israel in different periods, right? So there's a period of slavery, but then there are periods where, okay, no one is doing nothing to you. Yet you still seem to be lost. You still seem to make these decisions that are unhealthy for you. So I feel like, you can even equate that to even like now, of course, there's a lot of things that have happened. We've been here in this enslavement for a long time. But even if you look at the idea, no one is telling you go left, go right. No one is making you go up, go down. We're being influenced, of course, but you still have the ability to make your decisions and try and forge your own path. So I think oftentimes we think that that's the problem, but it's not really the root, because I think, as a lot of people have said in the chat, we have a lot of smart people tonight, how true freedom comes with obedience, because it gives you a guide, and there's no better guide than the man who created life itself.
Amen. All right. Yeah, 7s for that, for sure. And that's kind of where we're going. You want to kind of lay that out, because it's so true, and you can kind of think our way around it, but we're going to come back to that very same thing. That is the ultimate answer. And like you said, I agree. I think there are times, so okay. So if that's the main issue that we have, and I'm not disagreeing that if you're enslaved, that probably is your main issue. That you're looking to free and get out. I mean, so yeah, they're killing our babies and just oppressing us. Like, the words are bitter bondage, right? And so it's no joke. Willie Jackson, yeah, absolutely, 7. There's no joke. So absolutely. But again, especially as an Israelite, it's more than just that, and as a matter of fact, I think you were going to read something in Exodus too to kind of give just a little hint of that, right?
Oh yeah, let's jump to Exodus 9. Right.
Exodus 9.
Yeah, and just to kind of set the stage a little bit, right? This is the initial. Going back to Exodus 3, this is the initial conversation between the God of Israel and Moses, and what to go and tell the people, right? So you can imagine being in that situation. You're hearing these words; they sound very appealing to you, very, very much like, yes, absolutely, like I want to be here, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we go to Exodus 9. I just want to read the first verse. Then the Lord said unto Moses, Go unto Pharaoh and tell him, Thus saith the Lord God of the Hebrews, Let my people go, that they may serve me.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I think it's funny because it's all right. The God of Israel's plan, right, is already in motion.
Mm-hmm.
The wheels are already spinning, right? And at first it was, hey, just let my people go, get them out of bondage. Let's go free. Let's go, the people like, yes, absolutely. And now you hear this, you see the term, hey, let them go that they may come and serve me.
Mm-hmm. That's the key, right? So that they can come and serve me. It's like,
that's his definition. I believe that's his definition of freedom for us.
There you go. Yes.
Right? That's his definition. Like, here, come, let them go so they can come and serve me and do the things that I ask and I need for them to do, because it was part of a bigger picture, as we all know.
For sure. Mm-hmm. For sure. And you can imagine who's going to push back on that, right? Our God, the God of our fathers, he's coming to save us. He's going to be, victorious over our enemies. He's going to free us out of that. And yeah, absolutely, I do whatever you say. Absolutely. I mean, I can't imagine.
You're addressing my immediate concern.
Absolutely, absolutely. And even on paper, in thought too, like, this is our God, so of course I'm going to serve him. Like, why would I not serve him, right? It's sort of like, then the proof is in the pudding, right? Brian says people who are living in society today may believe they are free. However, the infrastructure was built and made with other intentions. And that's interesting. We're going to get to that, but that's interesting.
I feel like they're ready to go. They've been hearing the story that their God is going to come one day, and set them free. That's been being said in the family. Joseph's people, they've been told this story that their God is going to come. Abraham's God is going to come. So they've been waiting on it. And so just like we've been singing this song over here for Lord knows how long, we shall overcome one day, right? We don't know when, we don't know how, but we've been singing that song, we shall overcome, right? Haven't we?
Yeah.
One day. We've been singing that song for Lord knows how long. We don't know how, we don't know why, we don't even know who started us singing that song. But one day we're going to overcome, right?
Yeah.
And we have, not by the reason they said, but we have, So, hey.
We're getting there.
Amen.
So let's keep going then. So I know, again, absolutely, you asked this individual about freedom. It would be, freedom to not be oppressed by our God. I'm sorry, by the Egyptian God, but also the ability to serve our God. And pretty straightforward, pretty clear. And it's like, wow, you can imagine that day of like we honor and celebrate that. The New Year and the Passover is all about that. That's what you can imagine. Great joy, great gladness. I mean, even now we have great joy and gladness. Our Passovers are amazing, right? Because as we reflect back, not just on the first one, but also the fact that we're able to do a Passover now in these modern times after these 400 years is just like, it's words cannot express, the joy that you feel, the freedom. I mean, that's to me, that's the, you talk about the textbook definition, but then as far as the feeling, like, having and celebrating Passover to me is definitely, to me, a feeling of freedom.
Mhm.
It's a connection
Oh,
of the past.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Brian, with respect to the scripture, the God of Israel had a vision for freedom for us, but during that time and being in that environment, they struggled.
I think that's interesting, right? Especially during that time period, because they weren't asked to do anything but just serve the God of Israel, right?
Mhm.
It wasn't like, hey, go out and fight this war against the Egyptians, go out and do this, go out and, I mean, literally, it was like a parent carrying a child.
Yeah. Well, it was tough, right? And we can talk through it. But it was tough. But Sophia says, "Let my people go" is true freedom. We cannot even say that today because we'll be labeled and asked to apologize. Well, it's someone like the environment that we're in, right? And so there definitely is a factor. But look how difficult that is, because as soon as we get out of our enslavement, right? So he did his part,
Right.
right? So that you can sort of say, let my people go so that they may serve me. As soon as they do that part, and now it's time to serve me. It's like, wait a minute, that was the deal, right? I get you out of enslavement, I make you free. Now you have the freedom to serve me. There's no excuse now, right? No excuse. There's no, and we're in the wilderness, so we don't have nobody around us that is influencing us, really, right? We're right there. We have full, we want to call it freedom, choice to be able to, turn left or turn right. And what happened?
That's a good point, Elder Jeffrey. How because when they did come out, looking at what at that time what they thought freedom was, think about what they started to do. Think about when Moses was gone, what was taking place. That's what they thought freedom was, besides just serving the God of Israel at that time.
And which was following the inventions of their mind, following their heart, following their, that's a term that you hear a lot out here, especially again, we're in America, land of the free, and they all that stuff that they say, and they have this thing where it's like, just follow your heart. Your heart will take you to where you're right. I mean, it's just it's upsetting sometimes, right? That how much that is placed as paramount, as the thing of the measure of a society, right? The ability of people to just follow their hearts. And we're going to talk a little bit about that, if that's really a good thing. Let's see. Bishop Sam says, true freedom in our own land to be who we were meant to be, serving our God, living God. Yeah, absolutely. And he gave us that, but it seemed like it wasn't enough, right? Were you going to say something, Ezra?
Yeah, I was going to say that speaking about Egypt, I think it's interesting to note that the children of Israel were in that Egypt longer than we even are in ours. And so when you think about the type of length, like think about how long and lengthy ours has felt and so much that has seen, and how the people who came in are so different than the people who finish it out, because of whatever the mentality of the land, it gets ingrained, not into your brain, but then it gets ingrained into your children's brain, and then their children's brain, and their children's brain. And so next thing you know, you have a generation where everything that is your default, like it's like we know how animals and science and things work, as far as when it comes to even how our brain picks up habits, right? And so you think something for that long, you can't fight, like almost like fighting against it is like fighting against everything, because it's like everything is built upon this foundation that is not just you. You're not the only one who thinks this way. Like you look at your neighbor, they think this way. You look at your mom, your dad, they thought this way. Their mom, their dad, they thought this way. Their mom, their dad, they thought this way. Their mom, their dad, they thought this way. So we're dealing with all of the generations, I think like sometimes truly understanding the length and like even the fight, because we know here, like in this America fought, and we fought for every inch of freedom, and even through every inch of fighting, there's so many ingrained thoughts that we still can't fight, and so you can only imagine back then when it was a longer sentence, but you can only imagine the type of habits that were formed to where now the God of Israel has to, even once we are free, like we're physically free, but all the goo, that has been ingrained. It's like it's like when you leave something in your basement or you leave something in your shed, and it's just all this dust, it's not.
Mm-hmm.
And so even when you clean it, it's still not clean, It's like, damn, you might as well just buy a new one. And so it's that type of like, that is on us as far as in order for us to be who we're supposed to be. So we even know like even the length of time it took to just remove all that goo out of our mind, that way we can be who we're supposed to be. Because of how long we were sitting in that Egyptian culture, and it was so normal. But I think that in itself is also a part of a part of how God of Israel punishes, because the part of the punishment is almost like not being able to even like be who you're supposed to be. It's like the reason why now that this person is over you, you no longer can see your potential. You can't feel it and touch it. So yeah, I think it's just very interesting to compare.
Yeah, for sure. It's like a child who may fail a class, like they can't move forward, right? They gotta they gotta work hard just to get back on track, right? I mean, it's and has to be the focus, and so you're impeding the progress that should be there. So yeah, and I mean, I totally understand. Xavier Brown says that command from the God of Israel was straightforward. They have been serving you for some time now. I need my people to serve me, set them free. Spiritual freedom is the Israelite passport. Yeah, for sure. And so it's one of those things where, of course, Egypt didn't listen. Even though they wanted to, but they hardened their hearts because he wanted to make a point that that's how much the God of Israel loves us and would do anything for us, and even if it means toppling the greatest nation on the planet at that time. And for his children. So not having to celebrate Xmas, Halloween, etc. is freedom to an Israelite. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, being out of the environment. And so out of the environment, but yet and still, I think I heard one of the elders, one of the lessons this past couple of weeks had said, was what was harder, getting Israel out of Egypt or getting Egypt out of Israel?
Yeah. Getting Egypt out of Israel.
All right. So as long as Egypt is in Israel, then the definition of freedom, doing what you want to do, really just falls by the side, right? Because you think you're doing what you want to do, but you're so influenced by the culture that is around you, you're really doing what they want you to do. Exactly. You're really doing what they taught you, and a lot of that may not be intentional. You understand what I'm saying? It's well, many times in the scripture it speaks about your heart, your decision making, but you can't trust it because it can be manipulated, and we have to try our best. That's one reason why we do so hard, or we follow Lord's Ten Commandments as far as creating the culture around us to help edify us, to help feed us those spiritual strength that we have, so that we can have the right perspective, and not rely on our hearts, but rely on our obedience, and know that the God of Israel will train our hearts, after the culture that he wants for us. Tony Walker says true freedom is when the God of Israel handpicks us to represent and to be his family on earth. 100%. Thank you, Elder Tony, for that. Absolutely. Okay, so let's keep going. So we got that foundation there. I think even through our history, like you so one of us had said, we end up going to our land and so on and so forth, and a lot of influence that we fed into, but yet and still, we do have many along the way that was really exhibiting that true sense of freedom, even throughout our history, even throughout the times when we had numerous influences around us that could lead us to the left or to the right. And so again, we talk about freedom. Sometimes it can be relative, right? And so I think Shelby, you wanted to talk a little bit about when it comes to freedom about I think what was it, Queen Esther?
Yeah, Queen Esther. It was Mordecai, right?
Mordecai. Okay.
Yeah, I think we was, and just it was to show the state that we were in. I was looking at Esther 1 through 5, just to kind of show where we were at, who was over us at the time, the same way, kind of like now, how somebody's over us, and they have different. We living in somebody else's culture, but with Mordecai, he kind of stayed with his. So I was reading as what is that? Esther 1. Hold on. I got it right here. I
Okay.
believe.
You lost it.
Yeah, I lost it. Hold on 1 second.
All right.
That's
All
my.
right. If you guys enjoying the conversation, again, please, put some sevens in the chat. We're talking about freedom. What does it mean? And so far, we're seeing that it's relative, right? It depends on the environment that we're in. You speak to individuals. I mean, in our forefathers in the time of enslavement, freedom is like, hey, get this boot off my neck, right? Get these
Right.
chains off my hands. And I think we did a whole series on Judges, understanding that many times when we find ourselves through that situation, the God of Israel, sometimes would send a warrior, sometimes not, but he would send a judge, so that he could tell us specifically, listen, I understand the enslavement that you're facing, the oppression, but understand there's a reason why you're facing it. And so if you really want to be free, then you need to understand what you need to do to, really be free, right? And I think that's, something that we have to really, keep focused there. That a lot of our conditions that we find ourselves in, as much as there is evil in the world and people can do these things, a lot of times it is us who are putting us in our own situation.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how many times any of us can maybe reflect on our own lives and kind of see that does fall true many times. So, Shelby, you ready for that?
I'm ready.
Okay.
All right. Esther chapter 1, verse 1. Now it came to pass in the days of Ahasuerus. This is Ahasuerus, which reigned in India, even into Ethiopia, over 100 years, 107 and 20 provinces. Uh, that in those days, when the king Ahasuerus sat on the throne of his kingdom, which was in Shushan the palace, in the 3rd year of his reign, he made a feast unto all princes and his servants, the power of Persia and Media, Media, the nobles and princes of the provinces. I'm sorry, being before him, when he showed the riches of his glorious kingdom and the honor of his excellent majesty many days, even 100 and 80 days. And when these days were expired, the king made a feast unto all the people that were present in Shushan and the palace, both unto great and small, 7 days in the court of the garden of the king's palace. So just reading that was just kind of going into how it was we were in the same type of situation now, where we have a president and they have all the things they need and all the things they want, and the culture that we around, this is what they're doing. And if we were to read further into the scripture, I know we haven't got much time, so we find out that they did a lot of things like us. They were stealing a lot of our ways with doing things by the number 7, wearing their cords and had different colors up and things of that nature. He's even holding feasts, which we know all of this comes from us, holding a feast. So we was in that same type of environment as we are now, where they're just stealing the things that we do. But moving to Esther 2 and 5, which introduces us to Mordecai, who, just to let us know that now in Mordecai 5, I'm sorry, and it talks
Esther
about,
5.
yeah, I said Esther 5, Esther 2 verse 5, and this talks about Mordecai, just letting you know that he's a Jew from the tribe of Benjamin, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so as we go on, we come into how he himself on Esther 4, verse 13 and 15, he's telling his daughter, his niece, I guess that would be his niece, uh,
Mm-hmm.
that she has a duty as an Israelite to keep going, like to stay focused, stay with, the Israelite family. There's things that you have to do in order to save this family. And we brought him up just to talk about his way of how would he say during this time of like we are the whole nation, right? Every Israelite on this video, ones not here, we are in this situation where we need to still focus, even though, which is that's our freedom, is to be able to go through this situation and still be focused on saving Israel and being obedient, because he was still obedient through this whole time with the story of Esther. And so I just wanted to bring that up to show everybody, like even while we going through our state of enslavement, the freedom in his enslavement was to constantly keep doing what he's supposed to for the God of Israel and save this nation. So if we can all remember to kind of keep that on our head to save this nation, that's the reason I thought Mordecai was a great story to bring about.
It's a good point, right? When we speak about freedom, the idea of like, oh, doing what I want to do, whatever that, the answer someone may give.
Mm-hmm.
And so just generally speaking, so would we say Mordecai had freedom? Was he free?
I think mentally he was free because he was obeying, and he was doing something for the whole nation, which as we know, doing things for the nation is the greatest reward. You know what I mean? So I think him being reminding, his niece, putting her in a position first to win, right? And then reminding his niece that, hey, this is what you need to do for the nation, for us as a people. So even while he's in the captivity in the situation, his mind is free.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? He's thinking still about what he needs to do to be obedient.
Amen.
And I think that's what we do. That's what we've been talking about is in freedom, is to keep our mind focused on what we need to do. And that keeps us away from the world. That keeps us focused on the God of Israel. And that keeps us.
Amen. He would not bow to any man. Mordecai.
Sevens for that, Shelby. Absolutely. Put sevens in that. Absolutely. Hope you guys are getting kind of seeing where, as we explore this, the relevance, I think, to us, today, and the concept of freedom. What is freedom to an Israelite? And I think Shelby, I think that's a great example. Were you going to say something, Felicia, to add to that?
Yes, I was going to say Mordecai would not bow to any man. He stood his ground as an Israelite and caused Esther to stand as an Israelite woman for her nation and with the God of Israelite, because he stood. And that's a great example.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So it's like that was when we were talking, we were like preparing for this. One of the things we were asking was would we think Daniel? Would you say did he have freedom? Was he free?
I was actually just thinking. How there's the relation between the Mordecai situation and the Daniel situation. How they're almost the opposite sometimes of even our current situation or a lot of our situations, where the whole idea of mental versus mental freedom, right? And I feel like they were examples of like physically not free, like not in my land. I'm a stranger in this land. This is not my culture. I have to abide by their rules. But mentally, like even me having to pay tithes to this king or pay taxes to this whatever, even having to live as this stranger in this land, having to abide by the rules of the land, I still refuse to adjust who I need to be to serve my God,
Exactly.
And I think that is like, I think the God of Israel has always seen that as commendable, right? Mm-hmm. And seen even with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, I feel like we've seen this, like the drive where he knows, like you would put your life on the line, you would go to jail, you would die, you would go in the lion's den, you will burn, before you turn on your God. I think sometimes when you read those stories, it seems they can be very intimidating because it makes you think like, damn, that was me. Like, would I burn? Like, you know, like would I,
Right.
go through the lines? Then like
Right. Fires in the chat if you would burn for your freedom. Will you burn for your freedom? Fires in the chat.
Burn for the freedom.
and like there's no guarantees. It's like, you hope, if I think, and actually I was thinking about this earlier this week about how the God of Vision works. And we see in the chat, I was actually working out, and while I was working out, I was realizing, I'm like, oh, every time, like when you work out, there's this certain point in the workout when you're like, I can't, like I'm done. Right? Your body like gives up, like you physically give up. You're like, no, I can't. But then something like sometimes you can get yourself to be like, oh, but you got it more in you. You got more in you to do one more, to do two more, right? And I'm like, oh, I think that is how the God of Israel works sometimes, as far as his ability to, like, it's right when the pain is there, right when you have like, right when everything is on the line, like you feel like you're about to die, like I feel like the God of Israel waits till you get there, right? And then like a bird or like a lion, he just comes and like just like, and I feel like his hand just comes down and just wipes away everything hurting you. That way, like you feel it right in that moment, how who he is and that he's there for you, like this unquestionable, like whoa, there's no way, moment. So I'm like waiting until you get there to help you is like how the God of Israel has consistently like shown himself, right? Even when we talk about the Red Sea, like he puts you in this scenario just like where you just have like no hope, and like you can't, your body is saying no way, like you're about to, like you feel like death is like right there, and that is when the God of Israel comes. So I just think that's very interesting, like, have a mindset that's a mindset that they train in like the military, and they train a lot of special forces, all that stuff, to like try and develop that mindset of being able to keep pushing forward past the physical. So I think one thing that I kind of even take back with that is that as Israelites, when the God of Israel says that we will be the greatest people, or we will be this elite group of people that no one can stop, and that in our true freedom that we will have all this power, I think that consists of even not just the physical freedom, but the mental freedom, and not just the obedience, but even the ability to do and to push past what we know is to be like what we think is possible, And I think those are all instances in which, we see that the God of Israel is not a rational God, he doesn't go by science. He doesn't go by how our brains understand things, So it's just very interesting to see how like the mental freedom and what you can do with that, how powerful that is.
Yeah, that's awesome.
For sure. And it reminds me of Matthew 10:28. It says, Matthew 10:28, and fear not them which kill the body, but are not able to kill the soul, but rather fear him which is able to destroy both soul and body in hell.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
I think it's a great point, Ezra, and it also is. Denise says, "Yes, Ezra reminds me of Abraham offering up Isaac." Yeah, just at that time. Mm-hmm. So I don't know, and this might be a good, as we talked about this, preparing for this, we were also reflecting in our own lives. Mm-hmm. And one of the questions we asked ourselves was, okay, freedom is truth, and the truth will set you free, so on and so forth. So, what was that journey like for us, right? Before I came into Israel, and this doesn't apply to Ezra because Ezra is born in Israel, so he doesn't come before Israel. So you jealous? A little jealous.
Yes, I am.
But for those of us who were not born in Israel and had a prior life to Israel and was born again, when you reflect back on that life before Israel, can you see that you were not free? Like, would you characterize it that way, that you did not have freedom?
Yeah, I would. I think I felt like I didn't have freedom. I think
while you were going through it.
Mm-hmm. I think speaking like even what Ezra was just speaking about, there was a time when I was coming to Israel right before, and I had just probably almost spiritually given up, right? Like I had made my own rules. This one I'm gonna live by. I'm not doing nothing else. I don't want to do what the people were doing, but I don't understand what the Bible says at that time. And so I took I was going down the spiritual dead end pretty much with just maybe not a spiritual dead end, but the thought process was just different where I felt entrapped. It was like I couldn't go here, I couldn't go there, you know. And like he said, the God of Israel just kind of swooped in and was like, I remember he just tapped me on the shoulder again, like, hey, this, let me introduce myself, and because I was about to give it all up. There was no reason to read the Bible. It was no, I'm out here just living, coming up with my own rules. I had two rules, and that's what I lived by at that time. And thank God that he didn't take his hand off me and introduce me. So one of the things I want to say about being spiritually caught up, right? I saw a friend, I was scrolling, and I saw a friend make a post, and it was funny because they're of another culture, right, of Islam or whatever, and that's what they do, and but they were celebrating Christmas, and I was like, that's exactly the mental state that I feel everybody was in. You don't want to do what you don't want to do what you grew up in, but you were in it. So you're scared to let it go because of those words that was given to you that you have to always believe and don't let nobody come teach you anything different. So you're closed minded, but you're trying to be rebellious. That's kind of how I took the post because you're saying you're screaming out one guy, but then you're putting up Christmas trees on the other one. And I was just like, wow, that's really confusing. And so when we talk about coming out of that spiritual enslavement, I think of it like that. Like it, I can see that now. To whereas before, I probably wouldn't have been able to see that. You know what I mean? I would have been that would have been okay. Like, oh, that's you're Islam, but you celebrating Christmas. You know what I mean? So just being mentally free from that. A deep breath. So
it's a joy, right? Absolutely, yeah, for sure. Calhoun says, the Jeffrey absolutely did not feel free, felt as if in a box. Yeah, absolutely. If anyone feels free, feel free to share your thoughts before Israel. What was that like in terms of freedom? Tina says, I was totally bound in shackles, mentally, physically, emotional, and spiritually. Yeah. I think, for me, Brian, yes, I was not free. I believed what I believed I was, but I felt I had a bigger purpose and then I found Israel. I know for me at the time, I'm trying to remember and how I was feeling, right? And I know bottom line now, looking back at myself, I see myself enslaved, right? Because I see myself following these things. Even I was similar to you, Shelby, in a sense of like, organized religion was like, oh man, such a sham, especially for us as Jacob, and how it was used against us. And so, but trying to figure out what are the codes I need to live by, maybe a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and try to figure out myself. But all in all, looking back at that, I was trying to put together freedom, and not be controlled. But looking back at myself, I see total control, total way I was thinking, my value system, the passions I was after, was totally, the larger culture was so in me. And it really manifests itself when I tried to disconnect from the system. That's when I really saw, like, wow, it's like I'm trying to break out of jail because everyone's trying to bring me back. It's like, you gotta, don't leave the fold, and I really saw the control that was there and the difficulty and a bunch of the amount of not physical but mental and spiritual strength that's needed to pull the disconnect from the matrix. You know what I mean?
Right.
So many ways, and so that's when I really could see that wow, I wasn't free. I was being controlled, top to bottom, in and out, all the way through. It's only now I'm thankful to the God of Israel that I can like again like an example to me is this Passover or our culture and celebrating it. So many times I just sit back and just like breathe it in and just like, wow, I'm so happy. Thank you, God of Israel, for your mercy and your patience for allowing me to be here and to be a part of this freedom. Felicia, were you going to say something? You want to chime in a little bit too about your experience?
Yes. When you said this, I thought on this question, and I kind of told you about it over, when we were in the chat behind this. But basically, in 2012, I started knocking, seeking, and asking, like it says in Matthew 7. And in 2019, 7 years later, is when the God of Israel led me to the Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries. But at that time is when I heard the truth and was able to hear it and receive it. But I was not what you would say the living dead or walking dead or any of that. And I wasn't bound up because during that 7 years that I was walking, knocking, asking, and looking, the God of Israel I was like I told you, I was like sleepwalking because I had stopped doing Christmas and Thanksgiving and all these different things. I had stopped doing all those things before I got to Israel. I had stopped eating pork. So I was like kind of walking in my sleep, sleepwalking, half awake, half asleep. So when I heard the truth, it completely just woke me up. Boom, I was wide awake. And I fully accepted the truth when I heard Elder Shadrach speaking, come out of Christianity. I was already out of Christianity. So I just started calling. And Elder Tony called me. And next thing you know, I was in Canada meeting everyone, and been with y'all ever since. So the Spirit of Truth was able to reach me. So I thank the God of Israel for the Spirit of Truth for giving me enough of it to be able to receive it through that recorded message from Elder Shadrach. That's who I thank the God of Israel for. So freedom to me is the Spirit of Truth. Because the Spirit of Truth reached through that recording and said, boop, there through my ears, into my spirit, into my soul, and woke me up completely. Shook me out of whatever sleep I was still in, woke me up from that spirit of slumber, and now I'm an Israelite, baptized, washed and salted in the nation. Thank you, Lord.
Amen. Fires, 7 in the chat. Yes, and not just there, but you're also here on the platform Friday night live Bible study, trying to tell your story and to have your light help maybe shed the light for other people. So maybe others now like I was going through something, I was looking, and I heard Felicia on Friday Night Live. And
I'm a part of the St. Louis branch in the USA.
That's right. That's right. So keep passing it on. Yes. Thank goodness to Elder Shadrach for the sacrifices and commitments that he made to put this structure together and to start this thing rolling, and to know that, his work is not in vain, but the seeds that he's put out there, we know we have a responsibility to keep it going and keep building this nation. Everything we can do. We're not perfect. We falter, we stumble, all those things, they don't matter. We just got to pick ourselves up, help pick each other up, and keep on this path. Because again, this is freedom. I think there's, that's why a lot of times I don't, if I'm in the mood for it, I don't get into debates and fights and things like that, because it's not a question. Like all of us here have seen it, we've tasted it, we feel it, we know this is the path for us to go. Not because I think or feel it, but because I know the God of Israel has blessed us to even have our eyes open to see it. Elder Tony, my true freedom came to me when I was given Elder Shadrach's book, The Truth, the Lie, the Bible, no longer the Walking Dead. Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Thank you, Elder Tony, also for being a part of that. Pansy, I honestly did not know that I was in bondage until I came into Israel. Can you imagine living in bonds and not knowing it? That was me. Scary to think about it. Absolutely, Pansy. That's absolutely that is scary, right? And that's, I think as we think about it, that is the condition, that is a part of our enslavement. is that blindness. So can we get something, Felicia?
Yes, I had a scripture I wanted to go over.
Oh, let's do that. Okay, then we'll put a pin. I'll come back to that.
Okay.
The blindness. Let's talk about the blindness. Because
Okay.
you're not unique, Patsy. I mean, you are unique. You're a person. I'm saying it's we that blindness is a thing that we all have to deal with or have dealt with. So again, Felicia, what are you going to say?
I want to go over John 4.
Okay.
Verses 5 through 19.
Okay. Can I read it for you?
Yes, please.
All right. John chapter 4. And we're going to start at 5.
Yes.
Then cometh he to a city of Samaria, which is called Sychar, to the parcel of ground that Jacob gave to his son Joseph. And it's very interesting because we didn't talk about this, but this chapter was actually one of the chapters, the stories that we read during our Saturday Bible study last week. So it's interesting. Verse 6. Now Jacob's well was there. Jesus, therefore, being wearied with his journey, sat thus on the well, and it was about the 6th hour. There cometh a woman of Samaria to draw water. Jesus said unto her, Give me to drink. For his disciples were gone away unto the city to buy meat. Then saith the woman of Samaria unto him, How is it that thou, being a Jew, askest drink of me, which am a woman of Samaria? For the Jews have no dealings with the Samaritans. Verse 10. Jesus answered and said unto her, If thou knewest the gift of God, and who it is that saith to thee, Give me to drink, thou wouldst have asked of him, and he would have given thee living water. The woman saith unto him, Sir, thou hast nothing to draw with, and the well is deep. From whence then hast thou that living water? Art thou greater than our father Jacob, which gave us the well, and drank thereof himself, and his children, and his cattle? Jesus answered and saith unto her, Whosoever drinketh of this water shall thirst again. But whosoever drinketh of the water that I shall give him shall never thirst. But the water that I shall give him shall be in him a well of water, springing up into everlasting life. The woman saith unto him, Sir, give me this water that I thirst not, neither come hither to draw. Jesus said unto her, Go, call thy husband, and come hither. The woman answered and said, I have no husband. Jesus said unto her, Thou hast well said, I have no husband. But thou hast had 5 husbands, and he whom thou now hast is not thy husband, and that saith thou truly. The husband saith unto him, the woman saith unto him, Sir, I perceive that thou art a prophet. Is that 19, right?
Yes.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
The reason I want to read this scripture is that if you read further, you'll see that she runs and tells everybody about this man who has told her about her whole life, and she believes that he's the Christ, the one that they've been waiting on, right? And I compare her to us today because she's received the truth, and just like us, she wants to go tell everybody. No. She wants everybody to know that she's received the truth. Mm-hmm. And she's, whether they're going to hear her or not, that's another story. But she wants everybody to know. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And she's the seed of Abraham.
Mm-hmm. For sure. And for sure. Yeah. And it's like in that conversation, like on the surface, it's like, okay, where are they going with this?
Exactly.
But, yeah. As far as the water, the well, like, I can never thirst again. Like, what are you talking about? But there's a conversation, there's a connection there for sure. And to the point that her eyes are open, and like you said, if you read further on, she goes and calls others, to come as well. Yes. Hey, I found the Christ. I found the Christ. What's that? Verse 25. I said, the woman saith unto him, I know that must, okay, 28, down to verse 28. The woman then left her water pot and went her way into the city, and saith to the men, Come, see a man which told me all things that ever I did. Is not this the Christ? Then they went out of the city and came unto him. And so he started, talking to them and teaching them as well. So yeah, like you said, it's when something that big. I think all of us have gone through that, except, I know Ezra, you're born in it. So,
Yes.
But for us who've not been free, and then to become just like, wow, this is even before he jumps in, this is the key to our, this is it.
Mhm.
You can't keep it to yourself. You try very hard to try to tell everyone. All right.
You were
So
introduced to him in the womb, Ezra.
there you go.
I
Yes.
just met him a few months ago.
So Ezra, you can teach us a few things for sure. Yes,
Exactly.
Felicia, we want to share it with a deaf world for sure. So I'm just curious. So who was the first person you tried to tell about this once you saw it?
My family,
Your family?
my children.
Mhm.
Yep.
And it
Yeah.
reminds me of when Christ said he brings a sword to divide. Unfortunately, it's sad. And it's going to divide mothers and daughters and households.
Yeah.
It's not going to bring peace. He didn't come to bring peace
Yeah.
because it's going to divide.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's true. It's not going to be pretty.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
And that is freedom, right?
That's freedom.
It's not the rosy colored glasses
It's
of
not
what
for
you want to
everybody.
see or whatever. It's the reality.
It's not for
understanding and
everybody.
being in reality, like being sober minded to understand the reality of things, the good and the bad. That's the truth. And that's, to me, it touches me so much when I look around life and I can look in the scriptures and see, oh my goodness, that's exactly what it says. It's not just words, but it's actually the manifestation of what I'm experiencing or seeing or observing. You know what I mean? It's an amazing thing,
But
And I think
you need to really be blessed, because when you look around your household, you see your whole family and all your children in there. You are truly a blessed man.
I feel blessed. I do feel blessed, and I'm thankful for sure.
And even in the scriptures, that is the definite, like, all the men that were happy and blessed, it was because them and their family were able to be blessed.
Yes.
But what I also wanted to add was, speaking about Jesus, was about, I think oftentimes, as we said, we talk to people outside, and it's like you're talking to people who have these deaf ears, right? They can't really hear you. I think one piece of it, because we were talking about freedom, and we were talking earlier about oftentimes when people feel oppressed or they feel like something's wrong, their whole thing is trying to get whatever that oppression is off of them. So they need someone who's going to come and kill all the Egyptians, or someone who's going to come and say a speech that's going to make it, what I mean? Like they want someone to come and rile them up, and like, how are we going to do it? And so, and I feel like even nowadays we're probably in similar energies, I think, out there, as far as everyone has their own concept and idea of like, oh, okay, we can do this, maybe we got to fix the schools, or maybe we got to fix this, or maybe we got to do this. And I think all those things are good, but we have to understand that all those things are pieces of a much larger issue. And so when we're talking about Jesus, or you don't want to be shot in the street, but when we're talking about Jesus, Jesus even coming, when he came, often I think that it says that they were expecting maybe a soldier or somebody who's gonna get them out of Rome, just get these Gentiles off of our backs. But he didn't necessarily even come to do that. He came simply to just provide truth, and truth is not always what people are asking for. That's not, like, truth doesn't fix people's problems, at least not to them, directly. And truth is a lot more to bite. Oftentimes you want the answer, but then when you're given the true answer, you're like, oh no, but I don't want that though. I just want,
Right, because it's hard to accept that everything in your entire reality is a lie. Right. Everything you've ever believed is a lie. Everything.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's hard. And that is why I think even, the time of Jesus is so interesting. It's because of the fact that we see even with people who are like, oh, I know I'm Israel, but then even to be told of how to be, how to live, how your character should be, like who you should be as an individual, and not just you do ABC, but like,
yes,
that mindset that is required to be the person that you're supposed to be,
right.
And so with baptism and everything. So I think it's very telling, I think, as far as when we look at the relation between those things, because I think the time of Jesus is one that I wouldn't say that it's exactly like now. I think there's a lot of similarities between a lot of our statements and now. Now kind of seems like it mixes a lot of almost all the bad of all of them in a way into one big mess. But it's interesting the way that we were expecting freedom was not how freedom actually came, and freedom came through truth. And when Jesus says, you have a farmer and he goes to sow seeds, it's like, oh, that's not what we wanted to hear, Malcolm X or something, tell us that we redemption, so
empty the clip.
Exactly. You want to hear something different,
Right.
You don't hear that it's you want to hear like, no, it's them, so
Right.
it's a very interesting dynamic. So I think that oftentimes is what prevents people from being able to listen, because no one wants accountability. People want having something to blame makes life easier. Like
Right.
putting something on you is like that's harder to handle. Like the truth is hard to handle.
Right.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Like you can't handle the truth.
They can't handle the truth. I like
And
that.
on that note, remind me of, let's turn to John chapter 8, Ezra. That was a great point. Put 7 in the chat for the young soldier right there. Born and bred. Never knew any other God. Thank you to God of Israel for allowing us to create that type of environment. That's the first generation of born in Israel, right? And we're just getting started. So John chapter 8. And I'm gonna start at 31 because he talked about Jesus Christ and this whole thing with speaking around that time. John chapter 8, verse 31. And said Jesus to those Jews which believed on him, if ye continue in my word, right? John chapter 8, I'm starting 31. Then said Jesus to those Jews which believed on him, if ye continue in my word, then are ye my disciples indeed. And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. Right? So I think we may even have quoted this a couple times this evening.
Yeah.
But this is the interesting part. So, and they, again, these are the ones that believed on him, right? And they answered him, we be Abraham's seed, and were never in bondage to any man. How sayest thou, ye shall be made free? Jesus answered them, verily, verily, I say unto you, whosoever committeth sin is the servant of sin. And the servant abideth not in the house forever, but the Son abideth ever. If the Son therefore shall make you free, ye shall be free indeed. I know that ye are Abraham's seed, but ye seek to kill me, because my word hath no place in you. I speak that which I have seen with my father, and ye do that which ye have seen with your father. I'm gonna stop there a second because it's getting deep. Give me your thoughts. What are we talking about here? It's starting out pretty easy, right?
Yeah, well, let's go back to truth, right? I like what Ezra said. It's about truth. That truth will set you free. Seeing what's going on in the world today, and you going contrary to it, you've been served the truth, and now you're able to react. And like Ezra said, you know who you are now, and so you continue to be able to build from that, and it teaches, and it just gives you a sense of freedom, being away from the world, going away contrary, because you got the truth.
Yeah, for sure. Panji says, the more I think about freedom, I realize that in the world it is a man-made construct. But for us Israelites, it's keeping the laws, statutes, commandments of our God, the God of Israel. 100%. And that's good. I'm like, that's the point, right? We wanted to take some of these concepts that we think we understand and really analyze it through the lens of an Israelite to understand what it really means and how it is applied. So, one thing I want to say that's interesting here, and is this is Jesus the Christ in the land speaking to Israelites in our land, right? We're in our land. We're in our land. We have our priesthood. We have the temple. We have our culture. We're doing all these various things. Yet he's saying these very strong words to to our forefathers, right? To us who are here in the land. All these various things. Explain that to me. Like what do you? What do you
His
mean?
persecutors they're his persecutors. They're coming to persecute him because he is going against the grain. They are used to the status quo rather, and he is going against that. That's like if he was going against the church today, the Baptist church or the Christian church today, and he came and he started telling all the Christians, "Hey, I'm Jesus, and y'all don't need to be giving tithes to the Christian church no more." And he started doing that because I'm Jesus, and y'all don't need to do that anymore. Y'all don't need to give them. They don't need jets. They don't need cars. They don't need jewelry. They can just fend for themselves and get regular jobs. Then they're gonna hate him. They're gonna try to get rid of him because he's going against the status quo. This is what he's. It's political. I think it's more political than religious back then. It was more political. He was, and that's what he was going against, the politics of it. I think Jesus the Christ was more of a political figure back then than it was a religious figure. Is what I get from him, and he was going against the status quo, and they wanted to kill him for it.
Shelby, what you think?
I think just thinking about that story, and you said we were with our people, so it was like, here it is. They thought they were doing something correct, and for him to correct you, I mean, we see that in a father son sometime relationship when a son might think he's doing something that his dad told him to do right, and he's thinking he's doing something so perfect when the dad like, no, that's not right. You know what I mean? I remember working on a car with my uncle, and it was the same type of feel, and it was like, I mean, like, screw the boat this way, and I'm screwing the boat in, and I'm screwing it. He like, no, take it out and put the oil on it, then screw it in. And you like, so you see a different. You can see how he's telling me the truth to do it. He told me what to do, and I'm trying to do it. But as the truth come on, right? Like as he, how can I say it? I'm trying to. I lost the word, but as I'm doing it, he's still telling me, he's cutting me with his words to tell me to do it another way. I'm still trying to do it right. I think I got it right, but he's telling me, no, you're not doing it right. And I think that's what they were going through, not really understanding what he was here for, what he came to share the brotherhood with them, to share how to love one another, to share how to, the truth, this is what you're supposed to do, and I think they couldn't see it because of that. So, it just it was cutting, like we said, it was cutting the skin, cutting them like, no, we doing it right. But who are you to say we're not? And
Yes.
they couldn't understand it. And I think that's like today, if we all go and speak to somebody, we run into that same type of issue when we talking to our families or people we know, and they looking at us like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
So, but being amongst us, we have to find a way to keep that truth going. It burns sometimes. If you tell me, I think I watched you discipline somebody before. I ain't gonna say no names, but they came late, and he was like, "Hey, man, you can't do this." And I was like, "Wow, he told me the truth," but he accepted it, and we did well afterwards. But just seeing that dynamic, that's what we have to do as together as a family. We don't do that. That wasn't happening then. Let me say
Absolutely.
that.
And I think during our prep session, we were talking about that, right? A part of freedom is also being teachable,
Right.
and obedience, right? And obedience, obedience is a part of teaching. Teaching is a part of obedience, right? Obedience really comes into play when what you're supposed to do or told to do goes against what you want to do. Obedience really comes into play. Let me say it again. When you are, what you're told to do or what you're supposed to do goes against what you want to do, right? Otherwise, if that's not the case, then it's not really obedience. You're just doing, hey, just so happens what everything you want to do, it just happens to be the right thing to do, and that sounds perfect to me. I don't know if anybody's really perfect, but what are you guys' thoughts on that first before I keep going? That make sense?
Yeah, I think actually that's interesting that you say that, because I think the God of Israel's whole goal is so that is the case, so that what we want to do does line up with the law. Like, when the God of Israel first established a relationship with anybody, with you talk about Adam, and then you talk about Noah, you talk about Abraham. Like there's no book, there's no book of laws. This, like, it was all about the relationship. So the laws come into place because, of course, once we became a nation, now a nation needs laws to abide by, right? But the whole point of the laws is to guide us to be how we are supposed to be.
That's
so the
right.
whole point is that you want those laws to be in your heart. That
Yes.
You want it to be in who you are as a human, right? So at first, maybe this generation or the next generation, it's hard, it's hard. But the whole point is to eventually get to the point where what I do want to do does line up with the law, where the law is truly within me.
7, true freedom. True freedom. That's true freedom. From I will, right? Absolutely. Yeah, that's why I'm part of it.
Then you truly living free, even if you think. Lily, right before we started this, you mentioned like the story of Adam and Eve and how, you have this paradise, this grand paradise, and you literally have the freedom to do anything. And so true freedom truly comes from being obedient, right? If by being obedient, you name the animals, you name the water, you do this, you can walk around, the grass is going to grow, everything's going to be perfect, beautiful. True freedom was present, at that moment. But then I told you, don't touch this, right? So you have true freedom. But I told you don't touch this. But you have complete freedom. But if we were to take freedom as far as how they describe freedom, then all of a sudden it's like, okay, but I want to do what I want. But that's not freedom.
Right.
You did that. Now you have. Right. Now you lost it. Now you don't know what we did.
Which is deep, because if we all dig deep into what we want, where does all those wants originate from? Right. A lot, and we don't have enough time to get into the whatever you want to call it, the psychology or spiritual piece of that, but our wants and desires, where do they come from, right? They come from somewhere, right? The desires our forefathers had in the wilderness came from somewhere, right? They didn't just, I don't know, just scratch their head. It came from somewhere, right? It may not always can put it together. The same thing we kind of spoke about, right? I can be driving down the street and I have all of a sudden I got this desire for McDonald's or something. I'm thinking It just came out of me. It's just in me. I don't know. No one's pulling strings or anything like that. But the seeds were planted. They were there. I was exposed to something. It wasn't by chance, right? That to do that. So again, the idea again that we are we're infants. We're too infant. I don't know. We're too young, immature. We're too immature to be able to follow our hearts, right? Because our prayer is still, God of Israel, please form my heart, so it will follow your will and want to follow your will. And I don't have this controversy inside of me, which is tug and pull of what I want to do, what you want to do, what I want to do. You know what I'm saying? So and that's a continual thing. And obviously it's not everybody's at different levels, different things, we have different gifts. Someone have it easier than others. But I think generally as a people coming out of this enslavement, I think we still have a lot of old wine in us, even with the truth and knowledge of self that we still work on. We still have to work on, as a part of it. And so I think a part of this too is what, we ain't got much time left, but this went by fast. It went by really fast. But one of the things I want to talk about is, again, a lot of times you see freedom being dependent upon the environment that we're in. And we have to understand our enslavement taking many forms over the course from the time we've been created as a nation. And if we read Leviticus 26, and don't have time to read it, but actually just a little bit, real brief. Leviticus 26, 16. That's going to show something. Leviticus 26, and Leviticus 26 is very similar to Deuteronomy 28. Leviticus 26, and it speaks about the blessings and the curse. Leviticus 26. Please read it when you get a chance, right? And I'm jumping to. I'll start at verse 14, right? And so we have the blessings. If you follow my instructions, then I will bless you, and I will bless your womb, bless your land. Your enemies can stand against you. You'd be the greatest nation on earth because you have me as your God. If you're obedient to me, very similar to Deuteronomy 28. Now we go to the other side, but if you don't follow, and start at 14, Leviticus 26, verse 14. But if you will not hearken unto me and will not do all these commandments, and if ye shall despise my statutes, or if your soul abhor my judgments, so that ye will not do all my commandments, but that ye break my covenant, I also will do unto you. I even will appoint over you terror, consumption, the burning ague, and shall consume the eyes and cause sorrow of heart. And you shall sow your seed in vain, for your enemies shall eat it. And I will set my face against you, and you shall be slain before your enemies. They that hate you shall reign over you. Ye shall flee them when none pursueth. And if you will not yet for all this hearken unto me, then I will punish you the same.
7 times.
I will punish you the same. I will punish you less than. I will punish you what?
7 times more
7 times more. 7 times more than what?
for your sins
7 times more than what?
than the last time.
Exactly. So it's escalating punishments, right? And so if you keep, I'm not going to read it all, but if you keep going down, you're going to see you can do some other things on top of that. Verse 21. And if you walk contrary to me, will not hearken unto me, I will bring 7 times more plagues upon you according to your sins. Right? So read the whole chapter. It keeps going. And if you don't follow, 7 times more. If you don't follow, it'll be 7 times worse. So if you look at our history, going from the time that we came out of Egypt, and we can follow our history, how we went to the book of Judges and so on and so forth, our punishment got worse and worse and worse and worse. That's the prophecy. That's the promise. And I think in Deuteronomy, we kind of see it as, one to one, but it's an ongoing thing. So our God doesn't know us. He knows already that we're going to go down this path. Here's my point. And I know we're tying with time. One of the punishments that was added as an escalation piece is blindness, right? During the time of Jesus, Israel, and even till now, blind, right? Very interesting, right? Blindness and dumbness. Blindness, dumbness, what? Not physically blind, not physically dumb, not deaf, right? But right. Blind to what?
The truth.
Blind to the
blind
truth.
To the truth. What does that mean to be blind to the truth?
Not know who we are. Not know exactly what Ezra was saying. We don't know who we are.
Yes.
We have no clue, or who our God is for that, or the culture.
It escalated to that. It escalated to that. Even during the time of Jesus, we're in our land. We have the temple. We got the book of the law, right? All those things are there, right? They're there. So we know who we are as far as our lineage, right? We know that, but yet and still, we're still blind.
Right. And I think you define blindness, right? So like a blind man knows that, like, it's not like a blind man doesn't have a knowing. So I think blindness can still exist even with the knowing. It's like you can know, but you can't find. Like you can't. It's like you need
the light's here somewhere.
Exactly, right? Like you're in a living room, but where's the chair? Where? It's truly almost like missing a piece that should be not easy, but something that should be innate is now missing, for blind, blind, that's like it's a key piece of life, to be blind. You miss a piece that allows you to be you and function. So we're now missing a piece that allows us to even be. So when we talk about the time of Jesus, I think it's scary, when you look at the environment, it's scary because you're dealing with an environment in which I can know who I am, I can sacrifice, I can go to my Sabbath, I can praise my God, I can sing my songs, I can still be doing everything wrong. I think that is scary to know because, with us, we're still dealing with just knowing. We just need to know, where do I turn? Like, where do I face to pray? We still have to get that. We have to get, as you said, the old line out, knowing where to turn, just knowing where to turn to face, just knowing that He is my God, just the knowledge that this is who I am. But there's so much more to uncover. And I think that's what, when Jesus came, that's why even people who know who they are still cannot grasp how much more there is to know,
Right.
It makes so much more sense now to understand what He meant when He said, "Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do." That 100%. Really makes sense now. They really didn't know what they were doing.
That's right.
They truly did not know.
Yes, they were made blind.
They were truly blind.
We, and it's very scary when you don't have the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Yeah, the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, but you have the culture. You have Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries, right? Whose only purpose is to help us, take the blindness off and understand what does that mean in this era that we live in, this post 400 years enslavement, right? How do we apply the law, statutes, commandments, to our lives? And absolutely, like you said, there's the starting points where we're still infants in the sense of understanding what it really means. And our freedom is just beginning. Freedom is our culture, 100%, absolutely, because that is the thing that continues to help us, utilize the not just see, but like Ezra was saying, but wow, I can see, and now, here's the thing. Now that you see, like they say, if you're blind, it's like, well, you don't know any better, but now you know better. Right? You see, right? They say, the difference between, if you don't, I work for a book, I own a bookstore, so this, I'm always going to have a literature type of thing. If you don't read on a regular basis, then you don't have much more of a benefit than someone who is blind, who can't read. And so you need to utilize those gifts that you're given. This gift of seeing. My point is this gift, the idea that when you came in, as we talked about, and it's like, this is an amazing, I see it. Like you saw Elder Shadrach, and it was like there was no one trying to convince you. It just, it clicked, it clicked. And now you want to share it with your brother and your sister, your family, your children. And you say, look, and they're like, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Exactly.
I don't see what you see. You're crazy or something, because I don't see it. I don't see it. That's not that they're crazy. This is the environment that we're in. Our definition of freedom for us in this era is having our eyes opened. That's freedom for us in this era. That's the beginning of it. Again, we got to apply it. It's not just knowing, but it's doing. But that's the beginning. We can't do if we don't know, right? We can't, right? And so that's a part of it. And a part of it is the blessings that God of Israel. We know that the God of Israel has that helped us feel just so special, because we've been chosen, not just because we say it in words, but because we can actually see. And and that's just a beautiful, special thing, that thankful to the God of Israel for choosing us out of so many as to be a part of the plan of being awakened out of sleep.
It's like the little things. I just want to say, it's like little things. Like when I used to read the Bible, that story about, I think it was Elijah, where he asked the God of Israel to let his servant be able to see.
Yes.
I used to always think his servant was literally blind.
Yeah, no.
Until I was given the eyes to see. And now I know that the servant wasn't literally blind.
Right.
You understand?
Right. No, eyes to see.
Understanding is a blessing. And I thank God of Israel for understanding.
Yes.
So now I understand that the servant was not literally blind.
No.
All those years, I thought the man was blind.
No. It's that gift. The gift of sight is the gift from the God of Israel. And so we need to all be thankful that we have that. And you see, we're building something here. Calhoun says this truth is so very spiritually deep. We have never been exposed to any spiritual truth of our God, the God of Israel. Patience is absolutely required. Absolutely, because it's definitely it's a journey. It is a journey, but one that's worth taking. And so it's important that we really think about that and understand just how beautiful of a path that we have. Xavier Brown, the laws, commandments, are character of the God of Israel. Breaking them is absolute rebellion. Keep them and live. 100%.
Yeah, I just want to end on just one thing also. Just understanding that, we can, we know as far as when it comes to our truth, who we are, and we want to follow a path. But we also need to also understand that just like in the time of Jesus, yes, you could, you want to pray, you want to do all these things, and you want to contribute your best, but also understanding that how you treat your brother is just as important as following the Sabbath. Like both those things are just as important. And so, the biggest thing is the mindset, making sure that your mindset is going in the right direction, because that is really what we want. We want those laws to not be a hindrance on your life, but to complete your life, where your heart and your laws, where the laws in your heart are one, where you want to treat your brother as you do yourself. That's also an important mindset to remember.
And 100%. So a part of that too, our culture helps protect us from the influences of those things that are trying to change our heart to think and want and desire these various things. You know what I mean? Like it helps us put the right priorities and perspectives on things, and continually, it helps put that, especially when it comes to like even raising our children, who's the influences out there are going to give them, so many different things, right? Again, we're running out of time. We ran out of time, but I feel like we just scratched the surface. It's like there's so much that's coming to mind. Went by really fast. But I'm hopeful that you guys got something out of this discussion, another perspective when it comes to freedom, and how deep it is, and even the understanding about the reality of the world that we're in. That blindness is the norm, for us. It's our part of our enslavement. But the God of Israel, the fact that we're on this call talking about this, we understand we're waking up. And the God of Israel is waking us up and sending messengers like Elder Shadrach to wake us up. Understand the prophecy is, yes, if we continue to be disobedient, it will escalate to the point that we will, our eyes will be, blind, our ears, we won't be able to hear the truth, and we'll be blind to all those things. But the prophecy also says it is not forever, right? Even the Paul says, I want you to be ignorant to this fact. Blindness has come to Israel until the time of the Gentiles are fulfilled. So there is a time, for that. So we're at that stage where, we are coming out of sleep. And so it's not if, but when. And so the patience that we need to stay on this path and to keep us, keep us who are awake and alive and our eyes open. We need each other. We can't do it by ourselves. So I'm thankful to the Israelite Nationwide Ministries for creating this platform and this environment so we can continue to build on ourselves and get a clearer understanding of what it means to be in Israel and to be truly free. So last words for Felicia, Shelby, Ezra. I'd like to share for anybody real quick as we close out.
I'm just glad that I got to be on the panel with Ezra.
Right. Me too. I enjoyed it, Ezra, as always. It was great. I love talking to Ezra. It's so much. I learned so much from just listening and talking to him. Like, it's awesome. But it was a great topic. Great topic.
Nice. My teacher is right there.
Enjoyed. All right, everybody. Thank you again for joining us. Please, like, share. Until next time, it was just a pleasure for us, the St. Louis branch, to participate. I feel we're going to continue this discussion during our Sabbath Bible study tomorrow because I think we opened up a lot of interesting points. So thank you, panel, for being with me as always and counting you guys. Feel better, Minister Anthony. Don't worry about it. We're here with you. We're going to carry on with you, and we're going to support you until you get back on your feet. Thank you all. Take care. Peace, everybody.
Peace.
Peace, everyone.